Alright, I am back again. I am leaving work as we speak. Been some interesting developments. First off, I'm not sure if you are aware of this. If you're not, you live. I've been known to state I live under a rock that's under the rock everyone else who lives under rocks lives under. If you don't know this, you live under a rock that's underneath me. Basically, late yesterday, Trump called off negotiations on a second stimulus package, stating, I'm not going to do all, I refuse to sign off on anything this large. And then a few days, or literally just a few hours later, he came back and said, you give me this, you give me this, you give me this, and nothing else, and I will sign it. I will sign off on it. But do not send me anything more than this. Don't send me anything else but this. So let's get down to the crux of the matter with a little story. My grandfather died in 1959 of cancer. He was a car salesman. And I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother had been in a pretty nasty wreck and was having to get a new vehicle. And she had messed up her knee pretty bad, so she was pretty much just sitting in the car. And I was sitting there, and she said, she decided she was going to give me some advice on how to deal with salesmen. She said, you never want to try to beat them at their own game. The moment you decide you want to play them at their own game, they've already won. She said, the first thing they're going to do, they're trying to be all buddy-buddy, try and establish a personal connection with you, so you let your guard down. Then they make an offer. You never, ever accept the first offer because they can always do better. Then they will try to pressure you. No matter how hard they try to pressure you, you make your counteroffer and you stick with it. You try to work them down to the correct, a more reasonable amount. And most importantly, if they start trying to pressure you, the most important thing to remember is it's perfectly acceptable to get up and walk away. The moment you do that, you take back control of the situation. So, I'm telling you this because, like I mentioned, a few hours later, after he said no negotiations, he came back and said, you give me A, B, C, and nothing else. What Trump did was not walking back. It wasn't, he's indecisive. That's a roid rage. I'm not saying there's not a certain amount of roid rage going on there. It's very much a real possibility. That is contributing. But he is not changing, flip-flopping. What he did was, Nancy Pelosi was pretty much burning him on the political front. The vast majority of the media is left-leaning, so they were definitely taking her side. Everything was stacked against Trump. What Trump did was said, no, it'll wait till after the election, specifically after I get reelected. Because he wants to project that strength and confidence. And then he came out and he said, this is what I want, this is what I'll accept, make it happen. Make it happen. Do not send me anything else. Do not drag your feet. This is what I want. Do it now. That's the stance he took. That's actually kind of the stance he needs to take. He needs to have that strong personality to counter the horror that comes from being in the hospital. He has to do that. And he has to do that not only to push that counter offer and try to push them into a more vulnerable position, but he has to do that to take back the strength and to move them away from the traditional political game and move it more into the game he plays. And it truly is a big gamble. And he could have done that a whole lot of different ways. You know, if he had a little bit more time before that vice presidential debate, he could let them stew a little while and let them come begging to him. Long run, that would have been a better option, because the image of, say, Nancy Pelosi on her basically coming and pleading, please let us work something out, please. That would have been a huge chink in her armor, and the armor of the entire Democrat Party, really, going into this, what will most likely be a very contested election cycle. With that election coming up, it's going to be very contested. I don't think there's anyone denying that. And the presidential debate was not tonight. I believe it is. I'm not planning on watching it. If he had a couple extra days, he would have done, quite possibly would have done that, especially if he wasn't kind of Donnie Smash. Because, long run, that would be huge for him. Yeah, short term, his polls would have gone down, polling would have plummeted, but long term, that would have benefited him. But by doing what he did ahead of that presidential debate, he basically won. He changes the narrative. 2, he takes back control. 3, he changes the game. And 4, he protects his man, in this particular case, Pence, going into the debate. In this particular situation, short term, he did the best thing he possibly could have done. So I will throw in some links in the description below. I'll also throw in a link to Scott Adams' channel. He's been doing these morning live chats, and you would not think a cartoonist would have the insight that he does, but I actually like a lot of what he does. And I think he does a whole lot more prep work than I do, because a lot of what I do is just, I don't have a script, I don't think things through, I'm literally making it up as I go. So I'll throw some links for Singer's, put some links down there for that, and there's a few other things. Let me know what you think. Do you think Trump is just flat out roided out of his mind? Do you think this is some sort of somewhat calculated maneuver? A combination of the two, somewhere in the middle? I think if this is in fact a calculated maneuver, I think it's actually has the potential to be quite a good one, especially if the Democrats do cave. Anyway, like I said, let me know what you think. Later.